Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're discussing yet another monster from the Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual. We're going to try and go through as many monsters as we can in this manual, so we might be here for a little while. But strap in, because we have yet another fun monster to talk about today. It is going to be the Aarakocra, is what we are going to be discussing today. One of the more interesting monsters, in my opinion, in Dungeons & Dragons, at least in terms of the lower challenge ratings. We'll get into their stats and all of that a little bit later on in this video, but this is actually firstly a playable race in Dungeons & Dragons. If you want to play as an Aarakocra, you can certainly do that, but let's go ahead and read from the monster manual. Aarakocra range from the howling gyre, an endless storm of mighty winds and lashing rains that surrounds the tranquil realm of Aarakocra in the elemental plane of air. Making aerial patrols, these bird-like humanoids guard the windy borders of their home against invaders from the elemental plane of Earth, such as Gargoyle, their sworn enemies. Enemies of elemental evil. In service to the Wind Dukes of Aarakocra, Aarakocra scout the plains in search of temples of elemental evil. They spy on malign elemental creatures and then either take the fight to those creatures or report back to the Wind Dukes. On the material plane, Aarakocra create areas atop the highest mountains, especially peaks near portals, to the elemental plane of air. From such heights, Aarakocra watch for signs of elemental incursions, as well as for nascent threats to their home plane. Aarakocra prefer to live their lives like the wind, unburdened and ever-moving, yet they watch over a region for years if that's what it takes to guard against the incursions of elemental evil. Aarakocra have no concept of political borders or property ownership, and the value of gems, gold, and other precious materials means little to Aarakocra. In their eyes, a creature should use what is necessary and then cast what is left on the wind for others to use. Now, there is a bit of a section in here as well regarding the search for the 7 shards module that you can play and how the Aarakocra factor into that, but initially here, look, these guys are foot soldiers, essentially, at the end of the day. They are foot soldiers for the Wind Dukes, they don't like gargoyles, and they basically try and keep the Wind Dukes of Aarakocra happy and just do what they can for the elemental planes of air to be able to keep them safe from any threats that they may deem. Taking a look at their stats right here, they are a medium humanoid. Neutral good is their alignment here. An armor class of 12, hit points of 13 or 3d8, a speed of 20 feet, a flight of 50 feet. Not bad at all in my opinion to have 50 feet of flight. That is always super useful in my time playing Dungeons & Dragons. Having any type of flight speed is usually pretty darn good. But a strength of 10, a dexterity of 14, a constitution of 10, intelligence of 11, wisdom of 12, and a charisma of 11. They have a +5 in perception as their skills. They have a passive perception of 15. They know the Aarakocra language and Auran language as well. They're a challenge rating of 1/4, otherwise gaining 50 experience per Aarakocra defeated. They do have a specialty attack called Dive Attack. If the Aarakocra is flying and dives at least 30 feet straight toward a target and then hits it with a melee weapon attack, the attack deals an extra 3 or 1d6 damage to the target. In terms of their weapons and actions, they have a Talon weapon attack, which is a melee weapon attack, good for +4 to hit, a reach of 5 feet. It can only target one target at a time, and if it does hit, it deals 4 damage or 1d4 +2 slashing damage. In terms of ranged attacks, they also have javelin attacks as well, which can be melee or ranged, with +4 to hit, a reach of 5 feet or 30 to 120 feet if you are going to range it. 1 target per hit, and it does hit for 5 damage or 1d6 +2 piercing damage. Now, what is super interesting to me about the Aarakocra. One, I think it's so fun that you can play as them as a playable race in Dungeons and Dragons. I think that that's just fun in general. Here's an interesting note here in the book. Summoning air elementals, which we will talk about in a separate video, but 5 Aarakocra within 30 feet of each other can magically summon an air elemental. Each of the 5 must use its action and movement on 3 consecutive turns to perform an aerial dance and must maintain concentration while doing so, as if concentrating on a spell. When all 5 have finished their third turn of the dance, the elemental appears in an unoccupied space within 60 feet of them. It is friendly towards them and obeys their spoken commands. All 5, by the way. Any of those 5 Aarakocra can control this air elemental, which is very interesting. It remains for 1 hour until it or all its summoners die, or until any of its summoners dismisses it as a bonus action. A summoner cannot perform the dance again until it finishes a short rest. When the elemental returns to the elemental plane of air, any Aarakocra within 5 feet of it can return with it. Very interesting little note there for the Aarakocra, in my opinion, and it adds a bit of a, danger element to them, right? Definitely adds a bit of a force in numbers kind of section to it, if you will. Summoning the air elemental is no joke, especially for, creatures who only offer 50 experience when defeated. That is not a bad ability at all. Now, yes, it does take 5 of them. Yes, it does take 3 whole turns and concentration for them to summon this air elemental. But if you're running an early campaign and these Aarakocra come up, maybe, I don't know why they would be out of the plane of air, per se. You can come up with whatever reason you may want to, but having 5 of these guys in the back line working on summoning an air elemental while you have something else going on, or maybe this can even be some type of ritual that your party can interrupt, sounds like a pretty fun battle, in my opinion. If you're battling 5 Aarakocra and an air elemental, that's pretty fun. I also like the ability or the idea of all 5 of these summoners can control the air elemental in some way, shape, or form in terms of giving it verbal commands. It's not just restricted to one guy, say like the head summoner or something along those lines. It's any of the 5 Aarakocra can do this. Also, like, kind of maybe a fun thing you can do as well is if you want to go with an entire Aarakocra campaign, you have 5 players, your party can summon air elementals. That's a fun aspect that is thrown in there as well, in my opinion. But overall, is this the most dangerous monster in the world? No, but I do think you can have some fun with it with an early level party, be it if they're like evil or if you're doing something with the plane of air or the elemental air plane of air or anything along those lines, right? Maybe the Dukes of Aka send out Aarakocra and summon a wind elemental to try and take care of this party that might be in the plane of Earth, but maybe the Dukes of Aka find them threatening. I don't know. I just like the bit of versatility you have here, right? It isn't just a stereotypical, oh, you take them out, they're just grunts, 50 XP, it is what it is. I love that summoning air elemental aspect to it. It just adds a smidge more of versatility to what you can do as a dungeon master, but also adds a bit more of variety that separates the Aarakocra from other monsters in this manual as well. But what do you think about this monster, the Aarakocra, and all of the abilities that I talked about here? Would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions about this down in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. We'll be back soon here with yet another video talking about more monsters in the Monster Manual. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. See you soon.